Hi, guys. Welcome back. Sometimes as we age, we have issues with our hormone levels. Sometimes there's an imbalance. Sometimes there's a lack of hormones being produced by the body. I want you guys to meet YouTuber Deborah Maragopoulos, FMP. She's a family nurse practitioner. She's all about hormones in harmony, or at least that's what her channel is all about. So I'd like you to hear a little bit about what her ideas are on staying active as we age and the effects that having a sedentary lifestyle where you're sitting at your desk at work all day and then you go home and you lay on your couch all day and then you go to sleep. And that's pretty much what your day is like continuously. She's going to let us know what happens when we keep living that way compared to when we live actively. And she breaks it down per age group. So I think you're going to love this video. Check this out.
Women's health and fitness. Did you know being sedentary is one of the biggest factors in all disease and leads to early death? As a woman, your health is directly related to your activity level. Let's talk about what happens to your body if you're active or not. In your teens, yes, fitness starts here. In fact, the earlier kids adopt an active lifestyle, the healthier they are. Teen girls don't have to be athletes to be active. Be sure your daughters and granddaughters get enough sleep so they wake up refreshed in the morning. Encourage them to walk. Take dance or exercise classes with them. Just get them moving. If you're in your 20s and you stay active, then you retain the strength and stamina and flexibility of your teen years. Your 20s are when your bones build their strength and density, so be sure to continue regular weight-bearing exercise, consume plenty of calcium-rich foods, and don't starve yourself. Your bones will stay healthy for years to come. But if you're sedentary, you may look great, but physical changes are already beginning to take place that are going to affect you all of your life. If you're not active, your aerobic capacity, the ability to transport oxygen throughout the body, begins to decline at the rate of 1% per year. And after age 25, your muscle mass can decrease by an average of 5% every decade. Your metabolism begins to drop at a rate of 2% per year, which will translate into increasingly high body fat percentages, and fat added now will be distributed pretty evenly throughout your body. You begin to experience tightness in your hips. If you're in your
So that's interesting. A lot of times we look at people in their 20s and we think, God, they can eat anything. But what we don't realize is that freshman 15 catches a lot of people, especially young ladies. Imagine you're in school all day long taking, your freshman classes at college, right? All of a sudden after school, maybe you have work to do. And then after that, you're cramming and doing homework late into the evening, combining that with poor sleep and lack of going to the gym, at least not as much as you'd like. And all of a sudden, you're on your way towards a not so healthy future.
30s and you stay active, you look and feel as fit as you were in your 20s. You're still agile and coordinated, plus your aerobic capacity is better than ever. Thanks to well-developed muscles and below average body fat, you look and feel great. If your bone strength has not yet peaked, it will by the age of 35. Although you won't look it, you may weigh a little more because bone is so much more heavier than fat. But if you're sedentary, you will begin to feel your age. You don't have much stamina and your arms and legs are weaker. That's because your muscle fibers are starting to atrophy, meaning they're shrinking. And if you don't get active, your muscle mass will continue to decline at a rate of 6.6% each decade from here on out. Plus you're stiff, since without regular stretching, your muscles lose elastin. And you may have as much as 33% body fat, most of it concentrated on your hips and thighs. Along with that of your active peers, your sexual responsiveness reaches its peaks, but you may not have enough energy to enjoy it. But wait, what's the best activity for you? Well, stay tuned for my very easy, doable exercise program.
So it sounds like the moral of the story for us in our 30s, ladies and gentlemen, is use it or lose it. If you stop being active, you're literally going to start aging. If you are active, you can still feel and act like somebody in their 20s. But if you're not so active, you're going to start feeling and acting like somebody a little bit closer to their mid to late 40s, like your boy here. But hopefully it is like me because I'm super active.
If you're in your 40s and you're active, you remain energetic and as flexible as ever with excellent aerobic stamina. Because of the inevitable decline in metabolism, however, you may have a little tendency to put on some body fat, particularly in your hips and thighs. But your high ratio of muscle to fat keeps your calorie burning capacity up, and this, along with continued aerobic exercise, will counteract this tendency, keeping you around 22% body fat. Although due to gravity, you may experience some compression of your vertebrae in your back, but thankfully your strong muscles keep your stomach relatively flat and your back supple. But if you're sedentary and you are now 15% weaker than you were in your 20s, and the decline will be even more drastic past the age of 45. Your shoulders appear narrower as your muscle mass decreases in your upper back. The discs between your vertebrae begin to compress so that over time, you'll be 1 to 1.5 inches shorter, and your stomach will distend as the distance between your ribs and your pelvis decreases. You've lost 40% of your range of motion in your hips, and you may develop varicose veins.
So check this out. In your 30s, if you are not active, you start to feel like you're in your 40s. But in your 40s, it accelerates. And if you don't feel active, you start to look like you're in your 60s. And we can verify this simply by looking at our friends we went to high school with in the 90s. Some of them look like they're still in their 30s or early 40s. Some of them are literally starting to look like they're pushing 60 years old. Tell me I'm lying.
If you're in your 50s and you're still active, you have maintained every aspect of fitness. Your age shows only in your percentage of body fat, which continues to increase slightly. You're probably up to about 24% now. Gravity may start to take its toll on your body, and you may feel a little wear and tear in your joints due to years of activity. So you might want to rethink your workouts, switching over to lower impact activities like biking, swimming, or walking. But if you're in your 50s and you're sedentary, you have poor posture. That's due to continued drop in flexibility and muscle strength, and you slouch forward and have a protruding stomach and an overarched lower back. All the repercussions of inadequate aerobic exercises are beginning to kick in. Your blood pressure rises. You're more susceptible to diabetes and heart attacks. Now body fat begins to settle around your middle and your skin wrinkles and is tugged down by gravity. But there's hope. Just sign up for your free hormone reboot training for my secret tips on staying healthy and fit. If you're in your 60s and active, you have strong, flexible muscles and plenty of stamina. Despite the effect menopause has on your estrogen production, your bones are strong, thanks in part to your weight-bearing exercises and strength training you've been doing all your life. Because aerobic exercise has kept your heart strong, you remain able to pump healthy amounts of blood. You have about 26% body fat at this point. But if you're sedentary, you are 2 to 3 inches shorter by now and may have osteoporosis, partly because you have not done weight-bearing exercise that keeps your bones strong. Your breasts begin to sag in earnest and your waist widens even more. Your heart is 10 to 15% weaker than it was when you were in your 20s, and measurable changes in your immune system increase your risk of developing cancer and certain infections. Wrinkles are now deep creases and your skin is dry.
So if you're going to get off the couch, if you're going to start moving, you got to do it sooner rather than later. Now is better than tomorrow.
If you're in your 70s and you're still active, you can work and play almost as hard as you did 30 years ago. Only a slight increase in body fat, amplified by the Earth's pull, reveals your age, along with deeper creases in your face and a little drier look to your skin due to a decline in oil production that occurs after menopause. But if you're sedentary, your health is failing. High blood pressure, brittle bones, systemic inflammation levels have you vulnerable to a host of serious diseases. Your flexibility, strength, stamina are about nil, and you may have developed the classic dowager's hump. You have deeper wrinkles in your cheeks and your mouth turns down, so you may appear just as unhappy as you probably feel. But it's never too late to get active. Just get up.
I don't know about you guys, but I love her. So again, her name is Deborah. Maragopoulos FMP. I will link her in our description of this video. The truth is, if you're not getting active by the time you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s, it might be too late to even be thinking about your 70s, 80s, and 90s. If you want to change that, let's start right now. Go grab your shoes. Let's go for a walk. Good morning, Venters. How are you? Guys, I've got some really good story. Well, not stories, but I've got a really good story to share with you guys today. It's a story that's nice to hear, but it's one of those stories where you kind of wish that every child in this situation could get it, but we'll keep it totally positive because not every child with every disability can be helped around the world, but whenever you hear stories of a child that is, it's always good to share it because it gives one hope, right? So, I want to tell you the story.
Hey, Jesse.
Hi.
How are you? It's Stacy.
I know. How are you?
I never used to say it. This is my daughter, Kat.
Hi.
Oh,
It's Stacy, everybody, and her daughter. Oh my God, her daughter doesn't want to be on the show.
no, she doesn't.
Well, have a good ride, and I'll have a good walk.
Right.
Bye, guys.
We're walking at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, geez. Enjoy. Almost caused a traffic accident there with Stacy. She did look a little different in the car than normal. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I want to tell you about Ashley Murata. Ashley Murata is a mom who, during her 20th week of scanning, she was pregnant. She went in for her 20-week scan to see how the baby was doing, in the womb, right? And they found out that her son, Jordan, did not have a hand. So it's kind of sad and disheartening, but she did some homework and found that a lot of kids that are born without a hand grow up to be very normal and live a pretty decent, normal life despite missing the limb, right? So during that 20-week pregnancy scan, they became aware of Jordan's missing hand, okay? 5 years later, Jordan, a 5-year-old, became the youngest ever to receive a bionic arm. And I thought that was really neat. And there's a little bit of details here I want to share with you about this bionic arm. So the UK has a company called Open Bionics. It's UK based. They have a satellite office, guys, in New York State, or I believe it was New York City, but it said a New York office, so don't quote me on where in New York it is, okay? But Ashley figured, what's the worst that could happen if I go to this Open Bionics and ask them if they could potentially fit Jordan with a prosthetic arm, okay? And because they were New York based and she didn't have to go to the UK to speak with them, she figured, what's the worst that could happen? If I go in there and they say no, then no big deal. The answer is no, right? But if I go in there and they say yes, all of a sudden I can really make my son Jordan's dream come true of having a hand, right? So believe it or not, they actually were able to fit him. Normally children don't get fitted for prosthetics until they're 7, but what Ashley did was she decided to take advantage of the fact that he was a little bit bigger and more muscular than the average 5-year-old. So she asked them if they would be willing to at least try to fit him for a prosthetic, and they did, and he loved it. He was able to grab things and the whole 9 yards. Now here's the cool thing about it. Not only did they end up approving him as a 5-year-old instead of a 7-year-old, but check this out.
they made the bionic arm Iron Man's bionic arm. So he's got this red and gold prosthetic. It looks literally like Iron Man's body part, right? And very, very cool. She was really happy to let us, the world, know that her insurance company actually paid for the procedure. Which brings me to another point. This is all great news, nothing negative or bad about it, right? But the thing that's kind of a bummer about it is the other day we were talking about how certain insurance companies, if you need a certain medication or what have you, they have no problem declining people left and right. But they were able to luckily approve this child for this arm, and I'm just assuming a bionic arm that looks like Iron Man, I'm just assuming that is one pretty penny. So it's kind of nice to know that they were able to fit this child for this prosthetic arm. It's a prosthetic arm that he absolutely loves because it gives him a chance to look like Iron Man. And you know what's interesting about that? That might be something that works great now as he's a child, but I wonder as he gets older if he's going to want to maybe make that bionic arm look a little bit more, you know, like flesh colored rather than like the Iron Man, you know? But what do you guys think of that story? Wouldn't that be awesome if you had a child, a niece, nephew, or a grandchild that had a hand missing? And wouldn't it be great if Open Bionics or a company cared enough to go ahead and get a prosthetic on him? That is a beautiful thing. Hopefully in the future, we can set it up where all children get a prosthetic by the age of 5 to 7, and maybe they do. I could legit be naive on this, but I just have a feeling that there's a lot of 5 and 7-year-olds that don't have a hand, that don't have a prosthetic either. And there's probably a lot that have a prosthetic, but it probably might not even be functional for all I know. Kind of reminds me of one of my favorite movies. Did anybody ever see the movie Kingpin? In that movie, Woody Harrelson's character is a defunct ex-bowler who lost his hand because he was trying to hustle a priest. And a priest ended up having his goons put Roy Munson's hand, that was the character played by Woody Harrelson, into a bowling chute, and it ended up destroying his hand, and he had to have his hand cut off. So in the movie you see Munson with this fake hand, and it's just the funniest movie. He ends up recruiting, I forget the name of the character, but he ends up recruiting this Amish bowler. And the Amish bowler, the way they meet each other is in a bowling alley, and the Amish bowler is telling him how he averages like 270 or 280. And keep in mind, a perfect game in bowling is 300, and most pros probably average in the, I don't know, I'm guessing 240 range, maybe 230 range, right? And so all of a sudden you got this guy, and he's telling Woody Harrelson's character, yeah, sir, I average about a 270 or a 280, just this astronomically high number. Come to find out that the Amish always do whatever work the English, which is their name for Americans, right? They do whatever work the English does and then some, and then half more. And so he was actually hitting his average not based on 10 frames like everybody else, but based on 15 frames. So that was kind of the first funny part of the movie. But anyway, Roy Munson ends up taking this Amish bowler and he ends up kind of winning like a championship. And the antagonist in the movie is played by Bill Murray, who has this really neat looking bowling ball that has a rose in it, and it is just hilarious. That is my absolute favorite comedy. So here's my challenge to you guys. If you guys want to laugh and you've never seen it, try to see if you can get a hold of Kingpin. I don't know if you can get it through YouTube movies or through Netflix or what, but I'm sure somewhere out there you can get it. And considering it's like 25 years old now, I have a feeling you can probably rent it for free or very, very low cost. But it's one of those movies that absolutely makes you want to laugh for hours on end. Funny movie, great movie, not necessarily one for the little kids because there's a lot of innuendo and curse words and stuff. But again, if you could watch that as an adult, whether by yourself or with a spouse or loved one, definitely watch it. It's worth the 2 hours that it takes to watch. And if you can watch it for free, I would pay money to watch that movie. It's so funny. So, what do you guys think of that? That's a positive, right? But at the same time, do you guys agree it would be wonderful if we could get every single child fitted with a prosthetic? And again, I would be totally okay if it didn't even look like Iron Man's prosthetic. The fact that they made his look like Iron Man just is that much more amazing. So, that kind of gives me hope this morning. That's a great story. I don't know if you guys saw the film that I did of my weigh-in, but your boy weighed in at 169 on the scale. And that was on my digital scale. Now, here's my theory that I think happened. I think my digital scale is 3 pounds off from the one that I was using earlier in this challenge. I am still 3 pounds lighter on the other scale. So where I weigh in at 169 on the digital scale, I weighed in at 167 on my other scale. But every time I lean over with a camera to take a picture, it ends up fudging the weight and it makes it look like it's 2 pounds heavier. And I think that's because of the camera and the angle that I have to get at in order to take a picture. So here's my thought to you. I could be 15 pounds lower than my weight based on my weight that I took, 169, right? I could have lost 15 pounds from day one. Or if you go based on my previous scale, I lost close to 18 pounds. Now, for a lot of you, that might really shock you. Let me tell you what I think happened. I think over the last couple weeks, a lot of us have instituted this 7:30 club. Therefore, this 7:30 rule. Out of the 2 weeks or so that we've been doing it, I think I've had a couple of snacks, like maybe 2 or 3 of those days, but they were very, very minimal snacks. A couple of pretzels one day. I think I ate a rice patty or rice cake another day. But predominantly speaking, guys, I've been really good about not eating after 7:30. In the morning, I wake up around 6:30, get out my door around 7-ish, for my walks with you guys. So right now it's only like 7:15, I'm guessing. And I usually am able to stave and hold off breakfast until 10 or 11. By doing that, I'm able to kind of get rid of my morning snack. So in addition to my evening snack that we're ditching, a lot of times I'm able to get rid of my morning snack because by pressing your breakfast from 6 or 7 in the morning to maybe closer to 9 or 10, I'm able to get that much closer to my next meal, which is lunch. So a lot of times I'm able to kind of not eat that morning snack either. So imagine when I started this, guys, not only did I have 3 or 4 meals a day, but in addition to that, a lot of times I had 3 or 4 snacks. I think now I'm closer to 3 meals a day and only 2 snacks. You combine that with 2 walks, sometimes 3, and you combine that with drinking predominantly water, well, basically only water for this last month and a half. Before that, I was drinking a little milk, okay? And then you combine that with avoiding sugars. And again, even if I was still eating bananas, I think I would still have lost weight, just might not have been quite this much. So here's my thought to you. I know you guys are always happy whenever I lose a weight because you guys are beacons of positivity and I appreciate it. But here's my question for you. How close do you guys think I'm going to be able to make it to this goal? I have a feeling that over the next 2 weeks, I'll be able to drop another 5 or 6 pounds and I'll end up being exceptionally close to my 30-pound goal. Good morning, sir. How are you?
How you doing?
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. It's already getting warm, so stay in the shade. So here's the thought. Sometimes when we think we know how things are going to go, and then they don't go the way that we think, it's easy to become discouraged or disillusioned. And the reality is, because I was slowly losing weight at the beginning, I didn't necessarily have that 100% confidence that it would work for me the exact same way it did the previous 2 times that I had gone through this challenge, okay? And so my thinking was, my goodness, I'm probably going to lose closer to 13 or 14 pounds rather than 25 or 30. And that could have been seen as a fail, but let me tell you what I know in my heart would have happened anyway. From day 90 to day 100, I would have probably lost a handful of pounds and still gotten down pretty low. I don't know why my body is the type where it takes 45 or 60 days to really see and notice a change. Notice a change. But it is that way. And because it is that way for me and my body, I have to assume that with some people, they're going to see that change a little bit sooner. And for some people, they're going to see that change a little bit later. So if you're not quite there yet, don't be discouraged. Also, I want you to keep in mind that because of my baby step plan, which included slowly but surely getting rid of the banana, because the banana helped me get off the cake and ice cream, but at the same time, if it equated to me eating kind of like a banana shake, then I was willing to try to ditch that to see if I could get a little bit lower in weight. Let me tell you why that's a good plan and not a bad plan, because some people might be thinking, hey, you're restricting yourself. Right when you add that shake back to your diet, you're going to gain weight again. But here's the thing where I disagree with them. In theory, what they're saying sounds true, right? How do I always run into leaf blower people? In theory, what they say sounds true. Once you stop eating something and then you reintroduce it to your diet, it just seems like a natural conclusion that you would start gaining weight again, right? But here's the difference. When you are 20 or 30 pounds lighter, when you have a walking routine and you drink water, even if you end up adding fruit and the occasional snack back into your diet, it is my contention and my belief that you'll actually be able to handle those sweets a lot easier. It's almost like your body is just used to being skinnier now. So yes, I think if I would have stayed at 180 drinking my shakes, it would have delayed my weight loss. But now that my weight loss has occurred, and if I let it go all the way to where I lose the full 30 pounds, now we're not talking about a 180 pound guy enjoying a banana shake. Now we're talking about a 155 pound person that's losing weight continuously that now can drink the banana shake to hopefully maintain around 155. Because remember, if I tell you, hey, your boy weighed in at 149 today, just know that's not a happy proclamation. And I know this sounds weird probably to some of the female viewers. You would love being 135 or 140. But as a guy, I don't like being 140. I don't like having that look where family members come up to me and say, you really need to eat something and get bigger, right? Because for guys, we look a little bit better when we're a little buffer, when we have musculature, right? When we don't necessarily look high school skinny. So just know that that would be my impression of the difference between the two sexes. Women love the idea of becoming 130 or 140, right? Or at least a lot of you do. Very few men like that idea. I think for us, we'd like to be in the 160 to 165 range. So it's really weird when I weigh in at 169, and for all I know, this morning I might even weigh a pound or two less. But yeah, for some reason, I think it works like this. And I don't think it works like this just on my body. But notice earlier I said everybody's different, right? Could take you a little longer. But I firmly believe, Mala, Lily, CL, all of you guys that are really a couple of months into this, I really think you're going to start losing a pound or two each and every week. There's been a delay with our bodies where our bodies didn't want to get rid of this, but now as the heat is becoming more affluent in the sky and it's becoming so hot and warm, I think our bodies are sending messages from the brain to the muscles and the body that, hey, we need to get rid of some of this fat so that we can become more efficient in this daily walk. At least that's how I try to look at it, because I don't actually know the answer on a neuro level. But I feel like our body's communicating. Just like when we don't eat, the experts tell us that our body sends signals to reserve and hold that fat because it thinks we're in a famine. Which, by the way, is fabulous to know that if you're ever starving, your body is going to hold on to some fat, and for at least a while, you're going to be able to burn that fat off. And we see it all the time. You might not think you've seen it, but all you have to do is look at one of the 50 seasons of Survivor, and you'll notice that regardless of type 2 diabetes or anything else, a lot of these people end up losing a significant amount of weight. Now, are they doing it in a healthy way? No. I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched Survivor. I haven't seen it in 10 years, but I watched the first 5 or 6 seasons pretty religiously, and they're lucky that they get a bowl of rice at the end of the day, and they're lucky if they all get to share a fish, you know? So in one regard, we know that if you restrict calories, you're gonna lose all that weight that you don't think is possible. Survivor teaches us that, right? By the way, if you love Survivor, let us know in the comments. I was more of a Big Brother fan, but if you love Survivor, let us know. So I'm just really excited. I just have a feeling a lot of you guys haven't really mentioned that, oh yeah, by the way, I've lost 8 pounds and all my clothes don't fit. Guys, it's gonna really start happening for you. Think about this. There's a lot of people that are a lot more overweight than me, and a lot of them talk about how at month 5 with Sherry Lorena, she started losing weight. Keep in mind, she didn't really do anything special with her diet other than a couple little changes here and there, okay? Then on top of that, morning. And then on top of that, we had Wayne Cooney, who ended up losing closer to, I believe he lost closer to 70 pounds over the course of the year. And he specifically said, hey, I haven't changed any of my dietary situation. I haven't changed it at all. Oh my God, I'm going left-handed. Oh my God, this thing weighs 50 pounds. I'm not used to it with the left hand. Holy moly. Guys, this last couple days, I've been extremely happy. Like I said, when I saw that 69, that 169 on the scale, I just said to myself, guys, do you realize I started off at the mid 180s, potentially as high as 188, depending on the scale difference, right? And now on this scale that I register 3 pounds heavier than my other 2 to 3 pounds, now I hit 169. Well, Jesse, couldn't that be water weight? It could, but it's not a 175 to 169 water weight thing. I think it's a 169 to maybe 171 or 172. So I think that's the range I'm in. What I like to do now, the last couple weigh-ins that I've done, is I like to do it after my morning walk, because what if I'm losing a couple of pounds or a couple of ounces of water? So that water weight thing might hold water with regards to my weigh-ins. I might be a couple of pounds heavier depending on how much water I have in or removed from my body based on my walk. But man, I'll tell you what, that's kind of what I was waiting for. I was waiting for it to hit that magical 169, because what that means is no matter how you slice or dice it, over the last 80 days basically, your boy has lost 15 or 16 pounds. And keep in mind, I didn't lose that off of a 250 pound body. Guys, you know I lost that off of a 185 pound body. So when you look at percentages, that's a pretty decent percentage of my body mass or my body weight. Another thing is, because of the way we do it, while we're losing fat, we're actually kind of building some muscles within our legs and stuff. And this last month, through baby steps, through the Kaizen principles, your boy actually went ahead And I started adding push-ups and sit-ups, and I did a video of that as well. So you can kind of see, I'm not doing sit-ups, I'm doing push-ups and lunges. In the past, I would have added sit-ups as well. And I have a 1980s abdominizer that I used to use. And if you can get a hold of one of those via Google, get it, and then you can literally rock yourself into getting abs. Thought this person was going to run over me. I'll have to cut that out. Hopefully I'll remember. But anyway, guys, I'm giddy. I'm smiling from ear to ear. I'm so excited because not only is this happening for me, but if you've been following this routine pretty religiously, it's going to start happening for you. And here's the cool thing. Let's say you haven't been following this thing religiously. You know that I pretty much have, right? Now, if I were the type that had a bowl of ice cream last night, I would probably tell you guys. But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't make a big deal and quit. I'd keep on going. Would that ice cream set me back a pound or two? I doubt it, but let's say it did. You're still going in the right direction. You just get off the ice cream the next day, right? So anyway, I just have a funny feeling that a lot of you guys are going to start noticing the magic little weight loss in the next week or two. If not daily, you know. Don't do what some of you guys do, which is stepping on the scale every single day. Do it every other weekend, right? You don't have to do it constantly. If you do that, it does something weird to our mind where we feel like we're failing because it's not dropping down every single day. And on the daily, it's not going to drop that much no matter what you do. So again, if you give yourself a week, there's a good chance you're 2 or 3 pounds less. If you look at it every day, you're 0.2 pounds less, you know? So don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. Here's another thing. Remember, because I was so stringent on these different rules and these different baby steps, perhaps you weren't. Is there a chance that you were walking every day, not necessarily as much as you could? Is there a chance you were drinking water but still drinking a couple sodas? And is there a chance where I cut out the sugar, maybe you cut out half the sugar? If that's the case, that's not bad news, guys. That's very good news. What do you mean, Jetchy? How is that good news? Well, it's good news because you know the next baby step you need to do. You need to get that last soda out of the picture. And if you don't want to get it out of the picture forever, get it out for the next month or two to see if we can get you into that 30-pound weight loss zone. Now remember, just because I'm stopping at 30 pounds doesn't mean you have to. So we're going to keep this bad boy challenge going, okay? And we're all going to start losing weight, and many of you guys already have. Now you got to remember with people like Elaine. Elaine has already lost darn near 30 pounds. But she's going above and beyond. She's not stopping at a walk. She's doing the exercise bike. She's doing workouts in her living room. As a matter of fact, Elaine might not be doing walks at all. She might be doing exercises in her living room. As long as she's doing it consistently and she's losing weight, Elaine, why the heck would you ever change? So where Elaine might not do a walk, and Elaine, if you do a walk, maybe you could let us know. But it sounds to me like you're just sticking to being consistent. And if the Walk Talk Venters help you stay consistent and you're losing weight, I have a feeling you're very happy too. It feels like $1 million, doesn't it? When you lose 5 or 10 pounds. You don't think it would, but have you ever seen pictures of people holding up a pound of fat? It looks unbelievably huge, right? So if you're losing 5, 6, 7 of those 1 pound chunks of fat, God, your body's probably so much more efficient than it was. If you're getting away from the soda and the sweets, God, your tooth health and mouth health is probably better than it's been in a long time. And by the way, I used to tell you guys, I wake up and I don't have furry teeth anymore since I stopped eating sugar. I occasionally do get the furry teeth. I think that's something that might not have much to do with the sugar after all. I only say that because now that it's getting drier and hotter, I feel like I need more water, which is probably true. Maybe that's why I weighed 169. I'm about 2 gallons of water low right now. Just kidding, I drink a lot of water. But that's the one thing I do right when I get home. I try to guzzle a bottle of water. Make sure you guys are staying hydrated this time of year. But man, I am just totally excited. I have a feeling a lot of you guys are gonna see some really neat stuff happen now. It's no longer a case of 3 or 4 months into the future. But again, you have to be realistic. If you haven't cut out the sugar, if you're only walking half an hour a day, see if you can up that to 45 minutes to an hour. See if you can cut a little bit more of that sugar intake down. And just try to stay positive. It takes a little bit of patience. You've already done the tough part, which is the walking daily and the cutting down of these different things that we're trying to cut out of our life. All you got to do, in theory, is just take it that extra step. So keep those things going. Remember, a lot of the people that we've been watching, they didn't just stop at losing 10 or 15 pounds. A lot of them have lost significant amounts of weight. That's going to be you if it isn't already. So again, I never thought I would be so excited about losing a couple of pounds, but I'm consistently losing probably about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a week. So I know that's going to start happening for you. With that being said, I've been bumbling and stumbling about that for the last 10 minutes, but hey, it's the first time in a while I've been super duper excited about what the scale finally said. And I want you guys to have that same feeling, and you will. So remember, the word for the day is excitement, positivity, and patience. I guess that's 3 days, right? Or 3 words. Stay positive, have a great day at work. It's already Tuesday, so that's a good sign. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you later. Take care.